Good evening, viewers. Good morning, him. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to another episode of That's Life. And this morning, where him lives, and evening here in India, I'm so delighted to welcome to this show my friends from school, Dr. Himadri Dasgupta. Now, Dr. Himadri is my buddy from school, and he's presently based out of South Carolina. He's an invasive cardiologist there at the heart center there. And let's start the interaction. So him, a formal welcome to this program. And I was just going through some details that you sent me in your bio sketch. And one of the things that struck me was that in 1976, when we were doing our ICSE, you got the award for scoring the highest number of marks in biology.
Yes, Atul, before I start answering, can you still see me? Because
yes, I can certainly see you. Have you lost the feed?
I just lost the video.
I'm sure it will come back to you because I'm able to see you well. There may be a problem with the setting of Zoom. Which view are you in? Go to the right hand upper right corner.
No, right now, basically everything went away.
I can hear you very clearly.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. I can hear you.
All right, let's carry on then. Let's carry on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I noticed there was that you were the person who got the highest marks in biology. No wonder you are a cardiologist today. So tell me a little bit about school him and the lessons that you learned there and how it was. Let's start from there.
I think my school experience is one of the best experiences I've had in my life. And that is something which has made who I am. I would not have been anything close to where I am had I not been to school. I came to Loyola School in the 3rd grade. I came from Calcutta, where I was in a Bengali medium school. And I joined, you may not remember, but I joined in the middle of the session in the 3rd grade.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah. And had to learn Hindi within 2 or 3 months and pass 2 or 3 tests before I would be admitted.
Wow.
But what I got when I joined there, because I was a newcomer totally, and it was a batch of people who knew each other, was a strong support of good friends and wonderful teachers who made it feel like home.
Wow.
And right through the experience in Loyola School, that was there. And that is something which I've carried with me and will carry with me all my life. So the things
what was so remarkable about school, Himadri, which you would like to share with the viewers?
Yes, let me tell you something. The wonderful atmosphere which was created by the fathers there, the life lessons they taught us, the amount of things we could learn, and I'm saying learn besides our studies. Our studies were excellent. We had excellent teachers who were masters of their subjects, not only in the knowledge, but master in how they taught. I mean, if you remember Mr. Matthews, how he made it so interesting, the geography and the contour lines, right? Mr. Rai, who would make difficult concepts in physics very simple, and it is a thing that you have to understand first before you put it to memory.
Yes.
But let me give you one example which will tell you why I think that we learn the life lessons. You remember Father Roberts, right?
Yes, I do.
One of our favorite fathers.
Absolutely.
So I had a younger brother, Miladri. He was 4 years junior to us. And he used to be Father Roberts' favorite because he was very shy. And he used to wait for the bus in a corner seat. He used to sit out there, outside in one of the balconies. And Father Roberts used to come and sit beside him, and none of them would talk. They would just look at each other.
Wow.
As he grew up, he became a favorite of Dr. Father's because, he used to keep track and ask me, how's your brother doing, this and that. My brother, unfortunately, at one point in time, got an illness.
Okay.
And he was at home for 2 months being treated for it. He was a student at that time. I think I was in the 9th grade or 10th grade when Father Roberts used to teach us. And I didn't know that he had noticed that my brother was not coming to school. So one day he called me to his office and said that, I heard that your brother has such and such problem and he has not been able to attend school. I said, yes. He said, and you didn't think it was important to come and tell me that? I didn't know what to say. I didn't think he would be interested. And I'm like, he was being treated. He said, but so you don't consider the school, the teachers, the friends
part of your
as a family?
Beautiful.
He said that, I know you're good in your studies. I thought you were smart. But you know what the word is for you? And I still remember it. He said, in America, we call it a smart aleck, not a smart guy.
Yeah, never be a smart aleck.
Studies, but you haven't learned the lessons of life.
Beauty.
The next day, he came to our home and spent 2 hours with my brother and my family.
Yeah.
And when I tell this story to anyone else,
they won't believe it.
They won't believe it because they don't have this from their school. It was truly amazing.
Yes, such love, such attachment, such regard for your students and for the larger family.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful
exactly.
thing. It's absolutely
and I
beautiful.
think that has been ingrained in all of us. I mean, when we interact with ourselves and we talk about each other, we learn about each other families. We have maintained that, not only in that, but in our interaction with humanity.
Yes, and we carry it with ourselves everywhere we go. We carry it to work. We carry it, work relationships, friendships, community. Everywhere we are able to carry that, and I think it has paid. All those of us who've been following this kind of a thing, it has paid us rich dividends.
It has. It has more than our knowledge, more than our expertise.
Yes,
it is the interaction with people which ultimately make you who you are.
Yes, and the satisfaction that you get out of it, and the love that you get from people, I think that is unmatched. Nothing can match that.
That is truly unmatched.
So I saw one more thing, which also I'd like to talk about. See, in Calcutta also, while you were doing your medicine, you got awards. But then when you went to America, there you were intern of the year, like student of the year.
Yes.
So
yes,
tell
I was
us
the
a
intern
little
of the
more
year.
About that journey as well.
Intern of the year and the resident of the year.
Yeah.
And it's a long process. I don't know for those of you who's
and
not
then you
familiar with
also
it.
won the national talent search and all that. So this comes easy to you. All this comes very easy to you.
No,
so,
it's not easy. And
brilliance and excellence. It's
I'm sure it just happened. Was probably at the right place at the right time. Just it worked.
And doing the right things, of course.
I don't think I'm anything better than anyone else. But sometimes luck favors. Yeah. Sometimes luck favors. The national talent search, I think you will remember, we all went from
we all went for it
to
Chaibasa.
Yes. That was some experience in someone's house out there. We spent the night. Didn't sleep the night.
Yes, we
stayed
went
up the whole night before the exam.
We went
that was the national talent search, and then there was of course interviews and things like that, and based on that,
NCERT scholarship.
But in America, when we come to America, it's a long struggle because, and you may have learned that partly from Dr. Grover, who was on your show recently.
Yes.
After doing our medicine and our training in India, which actually I did twice. So, I'm probably one of the most extensively trained doctors because I went through it so many times.
Correct.
Completed my medicine in Kolkata from Niratan Sarkar
Medical College.
Yes. Then did my internship there. Then they used to call it a house job there. And my house job was divided partly between internal medicine and cardiology.
Cardiology, I saw that, yes.
Yep. And then after that, you're supposed to start working, right? But right about that time, you can also do some special like MD, DM in cardiology and internal medicine. And I was trying for those, but right about that time, the system changed. For us, the system changed once in school. We went from ISC to ICSC.
Yes, I remember. We were the second batch for ICSC.
Yeah, and we were the first batch in medical school that the system changed, in which they started the All India circuit, in which everyone would together compete for the MDs, the postgraduate studies, all over India.
So and then you would be offered seats.
Right. So I had to go through
depending upon your merit.
Right. And that was an integrated system where you had to do your residency again. So I finished my internship, finished my house job, then tried this, got into Rohtak in internal medicine, and did it for 2 years again there.
Wow.
So it was a kind of a repetition, but one of the things which I have learned, and this I think will be a wonderful life lesson for anyone listening, any young people there, is that when you're learning, it is never a waste of time.
Beautiful.
As long as you feel you're learning and you're enjoying, it is never a waste of time. It will always pay you back sometime in your life.
Sometime or the other.
Yes. So, I did my internship and residency in Kolkata. Extensive experience. It was a government hospital. Tremendous patients. Difficult way to work. But that's a learning lesson too.
That's how you can grounding you got.
Adverse situations, how you can improvise and make it work. That and the knowledge I gained from doing it over and over again and learning and doing it in Rohtak is, I think, what helped me be the best intern and best resident in a foreign country with a different accent, different set of standards. I was a little older than most of the people who were doing there because I'd done all this and come there. But, you show your diligence and the experience you've found in the past,
that helps.
The learning to improvise. And one of the things about the immigrants who come here is that you have to prove yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? You cannot be only at par, you have to go ahead. Only then you get the chances.
Yes.
So I think that helped me. That helped me perform the way I did and be elected as the intern and then the resident of the year.
Wow. Well done.
Thank you.
So tell me, you spoke about accent.
Yes, sir.
A place with a new accent. So how did you cope? What did you do? Because see, I have a lot of students who have problems with English. So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mohinder Bhandari, good evening. Some of our guests are, saying good evening. So good evening, all of you.
Good evening.
Good evening, all of you. Yes. So accent.
It is very important because, especially in a occupation where you're dealing with people, public,
and you're going to be talking,
right? Because if you're a researcher in a lab, it is a different thing. You may talk only once in a while, but here you'll be talking to people, and they will trust you and interact with you, open up with you. If you're a businessman, give you a contract or not give you a contract, depending on how comfortable they feel with you.
How you interact with them.
Let me just divert a little bit, if I may, and give you an example.
Please go ahead. Please take as many examples as you want.
Another story, when I was appearing for an interview for my fellowship in cardiology, the place where I finally got selected in Pennsylvania, there was a great mentor, Dr. Chapman. He was a cardiologist, interventional cardiologist, and he was also a writer. Actually, he wrote books. So after I got selected, and we were talking one day after we had finished our heart cath on a patient, and we were sitting around over a cup of coffee. He was talking. So he said that you know how I select people. So Dr. Chapman, I don't know. Tell me. So he was like, when all of you come through for the interview, all of you are qualified. We look at your qualifications. We get your recommendation letters. We screen through them. We would not call you for an interview if we did not think you were qualified and you were able to do the job you would do. So how do I decide between two very qualified people? He said, after I talk to you, when I'm going home and I think about the one I've interviewed, I think that when I'm coming to work and that fellow is there, will I look forward to working with him or will I not?
Beautiful.
So he said that's what determines, your personality, how you talk,
yes,
who you are. And I try to, within that short period of time, I try to know who you are actually. Beautiful. And whether for the next 3 years, coming to work would be wonderful, I'm going to see Himadri, or, oh my gosh, I've got to work with him again.
So that is what determines vibes that you radiate.
Yes, sir. And that is how polite you are, your body language, your presentation.
Everything. Yes, and your sincerity.
And unfortunately, in a foreign country, your accent also comes into some extent.
Yes.
If they're striving all the time to understand and they cannot understand you.
Yes. And you are, struggling to understand them, then.
Right.
Yeah, both ways.
It is difficult. It's
very difficult.
So to answer your question, sorry, I went around in a roundabout way, but to answer your question, the things I did was, number one, you cannot be shy. You have to interact with people and talk and talk and talk. Especially
that's
with
the only way to learn.
Friends and colleagues. But then you hear things which you can hear at your own pace. For example, I used to hear to all the newscasts. All the newscasts which were there in the TV. I used to sit down in front of it, listen to them, how they pronounce the words, how they say. Because, when people are speaking, they have different accents and languages. They'll speed up, slow down. But the newscasts are done in a certain way, certain cadence, certain rhythm, and you can follow it. I used to make a list of the words which are differently said. For example, in America, they don't say fast. They say fast. Fast, right?
How fast can you get here?
How fast can you get here?
Yeah.
And now I've got used to it.
Yep.
And not only that, in different parts of America, there are different languages.
Yes.
I mean, to the same extent that, words may mean a little different accents, not languages, accents. We are now in the southern part of America, and they have a drawling sign, the way they say it.
The southern drawl.
Southern drawl. For example, if a doctor is asking the patient, are you in a lot of pain? So in New York or Pennsylvania, I would say, are you in a lot of pain? Here they would say, are you in a lot of pain?
Pain?
Yeah,
I understand.
So,
yes.
But you learn that within a short period of time, you know what your patients are comfortable with.
And you have to watching movies, you can make out which actor is from which part of America.
Exactly. For example, if you watch Matthew McConaughey, you'll find a southern accent.
Yes.
Tom Cruise, on the other hand, is different.
Yes.
So you can definitely find.
You can make out.
One word of advice, if I may, for anyone who's striving to get a particular accent, is that in general, we Indians tend to speak fast, right? Rapidly.
We go very fast.
That, when combined with our accent, I'm not saying it's a good or bad accent, but a different accent, makes it very difficult.
Yeah, the mother tongue influence, I call it.
Try to slow down. So instead of saying, hey, how are you doing? You're doing good, man. Let's go. How are you doing?
How are you doing?
Hey, how are you doing? You feeling good? There's nothing wrong with slowness. In Loyola, they taught us elocution. You remember?
I remember.
How to accentuate each word, the last letters of the word. That is important, I think, when you're speaking in a different accent.
Not to eat the last letters of the word.
Right.
A lot of people would swallow them.
Exactly. And we used to all do it. I still do it. But I remind myself that, not to do it. Again, part of our training in Loyola, wonderful training.
Yes, it helped. True. So that's wonderful, Him. Now, Him, tell me, what does an invasive cardiologist actually do?
Well, there are different things different cardiologists do here in America. there is a super specialization. So a general cardiologist is like an internist with special knowledge in cardiology and dealing with the more intricate cases, but he does not do any procedures.
Okay.
An electrophysiologist deals with the electrophysiology of the heart rhythm, and its management. So he will deal with heart arrhythmias. If he has to do any procedure like ablation, he will do those. Pacemakers, ICDs, he will do those. And it is not that I cannot put in a pacemaker, I have put in pacemakers. But our practice and most practices and most hospitals in America believe in super specialization. So that an electrophysiologist does that day in and day out. He will probably
and if one of your patients needs it, then you're going to call for an electrophysiologist.
Who's a friend of mine, who's in my group.
Perfect.
In our group, it's in the same.
Excellent.
But he will do it because he probably does 20 pacemakers a day. Whereas if I did and everyone did pacemakers, I would do probably 2 pacemakers a week.
Correct.
So his expertise, and he will go
his expertise, his experience.
Exactly. And similarly, there are interventional cardiologists who do interventions. Now, an invasive cardiologist can do, and I do, diagnostic cardiac catheterizations. Some of them can do interventions, but it is mostly left to the interventional cardiologist. We are able to put in pacemakers if push comes to shove, but not on a routine basis. We will put in all IV lines and invasive lines and whatever is needed. But we will do diagnostic catheterizations, left heart catheterization, right heart catheterization, pulmonary artery catheterization, peripheral angiography, carotid angiography. We can do all of that. But when it comes to the intervention, we leave it for the interventionalists to do it. And besides that, of course, we do everything about cardiology. General cardiology, preventive cardiology, taking care of read EKGs. Imaging is a big deal. We do echoes, CT angiograms, MRIs, nuclear cardiology, all of that.
Wonderful. Now, COVID-19 has been a great challenge for the globe. And I'm sure you've been at the forefront, fighting the disease, fighting the pandemic. So tell us, in what ways does it affect the heart? And because I'm sure research is still at a very premature stage, so there's not much that is known about the virus and how it affects the heart. But you being a specialist, I'm sure you've seen many cases and you would be knowing.
Yes.
So from your experience, could you share something with our viewers?
Yes. I think that's a wonderful question. And you're absolutely right that the jury is still out.
Yes.
People are still learning every day. But there are ongoing studies, case studies. We have learned a lot from the publications in China, in South Korea, in Italy, and now in America. COVID virus, like many other viruses now, do understand that the COVID virus, the coronavirus, is now in focus. But there are multiple other viruses, ecoviruses, other coronaviruses, rhinoviruses. These have had sometimes different effects on the cardiovascular system. In fact, one of the well-known conditions of the heart leading to congestive heart failure is broadly termed as idiopathic cardiomyopathy or non-ischemic cardiomyopathy.
You've done a paper on that.
I had done a paper on that,
You've
one time.
Done a research paper on that, yes.
Yes. And the reason why it is called idiopathic is that the exact cause is not known. Now, as an aside, as a joke, we used to say that the doctors call it idiopathic when the doctor feels like an idiot and the patient's condition is pathetic. But
so idiopathic.
But more seriously, idiopathic means that the exact cause is unknown. But most of these, or at least many of these, are post-viral syndromes where the virus causes inflammation of the heart muscle, condition called myocarditis. And once you have the myocarditis, that can go 3 ways. Either temporarily, of course, the heart function is suffering because of the inflammation. It can go three ways. It can either get completely well, which it does in more than 50% of the cases, or it can stay about the same, mild dysfunction for the rest of your life, or in about 15 to 20% of the cases, it can go downhill and get so that your heart function is really, really low, and you keep on getting.
You may lose the patient.
Yes, lose the patient, or even if you live, you have to live with a very compromised.
It'll be very,
Yes, it'll be enlarged and flabby and not beating fine.
Very debilitated condition.
You'll be have shortness of breath, etc. So this was already known from a variety of viruses. The coronavirus does that too. It can do that. What it does also during the acute phase is that it can lead to a lot of different rhythm problems. So the inflamed myocardium is irritable. And because it is irritable, it can go into bad heart rhythms, which on the one extreme can be so bad that it can go into ventricular tachycardia, very fast heartbeat, unstable rhythm, go into ventricular fibrillation and stop the heart and kill someone. On the other hand, it can have recurrent non-lethal rhythms, which can from time to time cause a lot of problems. Now, what is truly novel about the coronavirus we have seen is that besides affecting the lungs, it does affect the blood system. And it increases the risk, and I'm talking in layman's terms now, increases the risk of blood clot formation in different parts of the body. And these blood clots can form suddenly, causing blockage in your legs. Some people have lost their legs because of that, or arms. It can form blood clots which can go to the lungs, a condition called pulmonary embolism, which can decrease the amount of effectivity of the lung and kill someone. It can go to the brain, cause strokes, and people have had strokes from COVID. Or it can go into the coronary arteries, block it off, and cause a heart attack. So we have had patients who come in with acute heart attack. The technical term is called a STEMI, ST elevation myocardial infarction, which is the worst kind of heart attack. And we take them immediately to the lab, do a heart catheterization, find the blockage, open it up. Typically, would find a narrowed artery, which has narrowed over years, and now a small blood clot has blocked it off. So we flush out that clot, we put in a stent, open up that blockage. But in COVID patients, and even in young patients, we find there are no previously narrowed arteries. It is just clot going there and blocking it off.
So there was no history of any cardiac disease.
Nothing of that kind. So even
and
with
then this condition develops due to COVID.
Yes. So even in a normal heart, you can have heart attacks or myocardial infarctions because of the thrombotic nature of the disease.
And there's something they are calling long COVID.
Yes.
Where the symptoms persist.
So that's the acute phase. And the long-term symptoms will persist, which can be extreme fatigue, which can be recurrent heart palpitations from these non-lethal arrhythmias I was talking about. It can be continued heart damage and ultimately a downhill course, which will persist as heart failure. It can be vascular problems in the brain, causing brain fogginess. You cannot think straight, you feel foggy, you cannot concentrate. Sometimes there's psychiatric problems. It can be chronic fibrotic damage to the lungs, making it difficult to breathe. It can be generalized muscle weakness. It can be affecting the brain and the spinal cord, causing problems with nerve weaknesses, including partial paralysis.
So are there any patients who fully recover without any, post-COVID complications, or, without much damage to any of these things, which you've described?
Yes. So there is a whole spectrum of patients, right? To start with, there will be some patients who will not even know that they have COVID. Completely asymptomatic. You test them, they're positive, but they have no symptoms. Then there'll be patients who will have minimum symptoms. They may have a little headache, and they have different symptoms. Some have only headache, some have a little nausea, some have cough, a little breathing difficulty. Some will have diarrhea and mainly GI problems. Some will have just loss of taste and smell.
Okay.
Some may have all of that, but very mild. Then there will be the next category of patients who will be sick. They will have real bad malaise, muscle pain, headache, fever, difficulty in breathing, cough, cannot move. But they will recover over the next 3, 4, 5 days. They do not need any oxygen supplementation and they will recover. The next group of patients is someone who will go downhill. They will need oxygen supplementation. They'll have to go to the hospital. They will have to be given additional oxygen. They may have to be put on specialized oxygen, high supply oxygen. They may need what we call a BiPAP, which is forced air. They may even need intubation, going on a mechanical ventilation. And there are different grades of mechanical ventilation. I'll not get into that, but they may need all of that. Many of these people will recover. Now, once you're put on the ventilator, it is not because you're being put on a ventilator. Some people have that notion that don't put me on a ventilator because if you put me on a ventilator, I will not survive. That is not true. But the need for a ventilator indicates how serious your disease is. If you need a ventilator, then your prognosis is not very good. And many of those people don't make it. But some do. Now, out of these people, the sicker you are, the greater the chance that you will have a post-COVID symptom. The less sick you are, the less the chance that you will have a post-COVID symptom. And I would say the majority of people who get COVID recover completely, at least so far. Now, we don't know because it's still fresh.
Yeah, early
so
days.
We don't know if someone who's feeling good now, 6 months from now, will he have some symptoms?
May develop
he may.
something later.
He or she may. Yeah, we don't know that yet. But as far as we know right now, most people who recover do well. And just like with any other viral infection. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, tell me, there was some talk about some blood groups being affected more by COVID.
There was some, but I don't think it has panned out.
Yeah.
They had initially said that.
Now they have more data and they are able to.
Yeah, the jury is still out on that.
Dispel that notion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, the common man does not know much and we are all dependent upon the television and the newspaper and maybe Google Baba for all the inputs that we have. So everybody becomes a doctor, once they go to Google, then everyone is giving advice left, right, and center to each one.
Right.
So that's what happens.
But I think, I think you had asked this question to one of your other guests also, what we think about Google. So if I may take the opportunity to give my opinion about it.
Please.
So I think it's a wonderful tool. I actually think it's a wonderful tool. I always like an informed, what I call an empowered patient. The patient should be informed and empowered. Because
so
ultimately, it is the patient's health and life we are talking about, right? If the patient does well, the patient is happy. If the patient does not do well, he's the one who suffers.
Yeah.
I mean, it might hurt my ego that I couldn't.
Is good or bad as per the usage.
Exactly. You said it.
If you say, the guy who invented the AK-47 needs to be hanged because he invented it, well, then it has also prevented a lot of things. So it's used as a weapon for defense as well.
Exactly.
So it's the tool, how you use it.
So I think Google puts in reach of the common people something which was not available unless you went to a very high-fly library.
Absolutely. Remember our times when I was doing engineering and you medicine. We spent hours in the library copying from reference books which would not be issued.
Yeah. So, and if we
for
needed
knowledge,
a study,
you spend so much time going after books, going after knowledge.
Exactly.
And then you shared with friends and friends helped, but it was so time consuming. And now it's all available at the touch of a button.
Exactly. And that is how it should be.
That's why they don't value knowledge anymore. See, because it's easy to find.
It is true. They take it for granted.
See, I may remember, still remember the phone numbers of my friends in school. But I don't think I remember anybody's number now. I don't
That
need
is
to
so
because
true.
it's there in my phone book. And then for the phone book also, Google gives me a backup.
That is so true. That
Even
is
if I
so
lose
true.
my phone, there's no problem. I don't lose my data. So just imagine, see, it's making us, what should I say? I would not, spend any effort on learning these numbers or remembering them.
Right, right.
So with more knowledge and available on tap, I think the storage here has reduced.
Exactly, exactly.
Probably we'll be like those machines which are dumb terminals connected to the cloud.
Right.
Earlier, they used to be connected to the servers. Now they're connected to the cloud. So all you need is a device that can access the net.
Exactly.
You don't need a hard drive. You don't need any storage. So we're losing our storage, I feel, which is a sad thing.
Which is a sad thing. Which is a sad thing. But
So
there is always pros and cons of technology.
yes,
So I'm sure
absolutely.
there's something good.
Fully agree. Fully agree. Now there is a question from one of my friends.
Sure.
What is AWMI and why it happens?
I'll have to say that I'm not familiar with that. Well, AWMI, can you give the full form?
So Vijay, please send us the full form of AWMI. If you are in the room, then send it to us on chat. Now there's a question from Mr. Bhandari, who's here with us. Sir, is immunity play a role in preventing from COVID-19?
Yes. I mean, the short answer is yes. But we don't know what kind of immunity is going to help you. There are suppositions, I would say, that immunity gained from other viral infections, and some people have proposed that immunity gained from even malaria and other parasitic infections may play a role. But again, the jury's out on that. There was some publications which showed that parts of India and parts of Africa and some of the parts of those countries were not getting as much of the COVID-19 initially, and they thought that it could be a cross immunity from malaria, dengue, or one of those things. But later on, it seemed to have been a lag, and those parts of the world also started getting the COVID-19. So cross immunity from other diseases, we do not know. Now, immunity, if you're talking about immunity from the COVID virus itself, will definitely play a role. So if you have the COVID, then clearly you're not going to get the COVID again. Now, we do not know for how long. That is something we're trying to find out. We know that the antibodies which you develop from getting COVID or taking a vaccine will prevent further infection, but we do not know for how long. It can be for a year, like it is for, say, influenza. It can be for a shorter period of time, like it is for some other coronaviruses. We are hoping that it's going to be very long, like it is for, say, measles.
Mm-hmm. So this may become an annual shot.
It more than likely will become an annual shot.
An annual shot.
I mean, that is just a guess. Our hope is that it'll be longer, but my guess is that it will become an annual shot.
Very good. So Vijay,
now the previous question, AWMI, if it's a cardiac thing, then MI would be a myocardial infarction. I don't know what AW is referring to. I mean, different countries have
different parts of the country, they have different nomenclature,
different abbreviations.
Acronyms.
Yeah, if you can give me the complete.
Yes, let our friend get back to us.
Yeah.
Then we'll see. So we've talked a lot about medicine, and we've talked a lot of things, Now what we need to do is we need to go away a little bit from medicine and from him as a doctor to him as a friend, as a family person, and that part too is very, very interesting. You have very diverse interests, and one of them being astronomy. So tell us a little about your interest in astronomy and how you are able to carry that forward even now, because our school had a lovely astronomy club, I know, and that is what kindled our interest in astronomy.
Yes, totally. I mean, you took the words from my mouth. It is very close to my heart, particularly because it reminds me of those times I so love. The astronomy club, and one of your guests was Ashok, who was there.
Yes,
one of our dear friends,
I was
Sukanto,
never
was the
into
president.
astronomy. Yeah, you
Yes.
guys spent nights there on the terrace, and I
Yes.
wondered what these guys are doing.
Something like they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happened during those nights in astronomy club will stay there. No, but jokes aside, we had a wonderful time.
Great.
We had such wonderful telescopes and the fathers with so much knowledge that it was also almost at a professional level. So that's where I gained my initial knowledge and my initial love for astronomy. My cousin,
and I think we had very good telescopes also in our school.
Excellent
telescopes.
Yes. We had, if I'm not wrong, we had a 4-inch and a 5 or 6-inch refractor telescope, and we had a reflector too. And those were excellent. The images through that were excellent. We could see many moons of Jupiter. We could see Saturn's rings. We could see globular star clusters. Plenty of things to keep us going. And then we had really serious discussions in the astronomy club meetings about difficult concepts. And we had smart people like Sukanta Mukherjee and Ashok who could explain that to us. And we had a wonderful time. Now, as we get ahead in life and you leave Loyola and you go elsewhere for your +2, and then you go to med school and you're learning other things. So you drift a little bit away from astronomy, but that love always stayed with me. So when we moved to United States, and I was a resident at that time, I had spent all my money coming here. I was borrowing from people, so I didn't have money for a telescope, but I wanted to get one. So I looked up, and we did not have internet at that time, at least not to the point where we are now. So I looked up in the newspapers and found an advertisement about 300 miles away, someone who was selling a telescope for relatively cheap. And it was one of the not sophisticated telescopes, but it was a 6-inch, what we call a Dobsonian mount telescope with a reflector. So my wife and I, we in our small car, traveled out there, bought it and brought it back.
Wow.
And we started looking at things, and that just maintained the love.
And was it a good bargain that you got?
Yes, it was a wonderful bargain for the price I got. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to afford it.
And
it's always a good. I still have it. I don't use it much, but I still have it. Now, since then, of course, I've got another telescope, and it's more useful. But what I've done of late is I'm trying to combine two of my loves, my love of photography and my love of astronomy, together in astrophotography.
Beautiful. Excellent. See, I've seen the photographs that you post on Facebook. And
yes, sir.
They're framed so beautifully. See, basically photography, after you have a camera, apart from that, it's the eye of the photographer.
So true. So true.
It's like a poem, how the photographer composes. It's a composition. So those true. Compositions, I find them to be, excellent, exclusive also, and excellent. They are very good. You have a great eye for it. And I'm sure this astrophotography is going to be a grand success.
Well, I hope so. It is more technical and more difficult. And
I know. And you'll need probably a camera, which is what? What kind of a camera would you require for this?
You need to get a good astrophotography. You need. You can alter cameras. You have specialized cameras. You have specialized cameras.
You'll need a lens or what? What would it be?
No. You need a CMOS camera which has a special spectrum ability to capture the lights, because some of the lights we see.
So will it be time exposures and all that?
Would that time exposure? Yes. Yeah. It'll be long time exposures, and you have to have the telescope and the camera mounted on a system which can track the star, because the stars and everything is moving, because the Earth is moving, right?
I know.
It has to accurately track it over a period of time so that it can garner all the light coming in, and the specialized camera can subtract some of the lights and keep and enhance some of the lights coming from the stars, which our eyes don't see. So you will see the beautiful red and blue colors showing up in the galaxies and nebulae. But it's a long process.
Yeah. And would that be very time consuming as well?
It is, which is why I'm not being able to do it. And the problem is the time will have to come from the nights.
Yes.
It is only at night. So
Yeah.
unless you can stay up at night,
Holding a
and
day job and then working at
yeah,
night on your hobby becomes a challenge,
right,
because it's only that much the human body can take.
right,
You need your rest.
absolutely.
Excellent, him. Tell us a little more about what kind of places you love to go to, because I've seen you visit a lot of forts and you go to a lot of mountains, but I didn't find many beach photographs there. Lakes,
Oh,
yes, I saw. Uh,
I need to post some beach photographs. I
national
have a
park
lot.
and all that I saw, but I didn't see any beach photographs.
So I may not have
Mamallapuram,
posted.
etc. Do you have photographs of
Yes, I have
Mamallapuram? I think
some.
I saw. Yeah,
I have some,
but apart from that,
and
I saw more of lakes and mountains and uh, wildlife.
no, we have been to beaches. In fact, where we live in South Carolina,
You have a
within
beach.
2 hours, there are some marvelous beaches. So we have gone
Wow.
there several times. I will definitely post it. But I like nature photography. So partly because
So you go
it
there.
does two things for me and my family. We can go to different places, relax, rewind, reset, and during
Yeah,
that time
and
do
nature
photography.
recharges you. It
It
has a way
does.
of
It
recharging.
does.
Yeah.
It does. And it takes us back not only to ourselves, but it takes us back
To our roots.
generations to where mankind started
Yes.
from,
To our roots.
to our roots.
Absolutely.
And it
Absolutely.
is so important, I feel, to do that at times because of our mad race we engage in, and with the technology we are always bombarded with. It's sometimes good to get away from it all and try to let nature seep into you.
And the sights and sounds there, you'll never get in the city.
Exactly, exactly. It is so nice. And that is what photography has done for me. It has opened up another eye to look at
Yes.
things as differently.
And
Like,
then to
like
capture them forever so that you can go back to it whenever you want.
not only me, but to bring it in front of everyone else.
People.
This the vision I see. I mean, you were so correct. One of the talks I attended. I'm actually a member of one of the societies here. It is It is the Carolina Nature Photographers Association, CNPA. It's a great association. We have meetings and we have outings, and we have annual meetings where we get national and international speakers. So one of the speakers, he was saying that, exactly what you said, that it is how you frame it, what you look at.
Yes, it's a composition.
So he would take, on a workshop, he would take his students to a place which is a dump, right? Broken cars, things torn around, things rotting, things rusting. And he would say, take 10 of your best photographs here and show it. And he showed some of those photographs, depending on which part of the car or what they took. Some look like exotic designs. Some look like flowers. It is depending on what they've selected and how they've put it.
It's your eye.
It's your mind's eye, exactly.
Yes. Because you can see the universe, in
That's
a drop of water. Yeah,
or
you
a grain
can
of
see
salt.
it on a drop of dew on a petal.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what the eye of the photographer, I think, is very, very important.
And I think what it teaches us is that to extend it beyond photography and take it to life.
Yes.
Life
Your
is so
point
full,
of view.
but what you want to see, how you want to take it for yourself, what you want to remember, and what you want to bring in front of your friends and family and everyone else.
See, today I was talking to my daughter, and this is exactly what I was telling her. I was telling her, she was talking about her work every day, every evening we talk. So she was talking about her work, and at work there would be so many things that you would not like, so many things that people say that you would not like. So I was telling her that stop focusing on all that, just disregard that as part of a day's work, and just focus on the good things that you see around you, even in people you probably don't like or whose actions you don't like, and you'll feel a lot better. And she does it. She's been consciously doing it and she does it. But all of us need to do this, our perspective, the way we look at things. I think that is what matters hell of a lot. And that is what.
Exactly. When I came to this country, one of the things the people here say, it's said in Christianity, but it applies for everyone else, is that you should, on a daily basis, count your blessings. Blessings. Count your blessings.
Agreed.
What it means is that, and I actually try to do this, before I go to bed, I try to do that. Think about the things you've been blessed with. Think about the good things you've had in your life. Think about the good people you've interacted with.
Yes.
Think how people have helped you. Think how you've been lucky. Because we tend to concentrate mostly on, oh, I didn't do this. Oh, this guy treated me bad. Oh, my luck was so bad. What that does is create a negativity in you. And that is self-perpetuating. But you got to turn it around and think of the positive things. So count your blessings. You've been blessed. All of us have been blessed so much, right? Yes. In various ways.
Count those blessings.
So count those things, remind you of those things. You'll have a positive attitude.
Absolutely. Now we have a couple of questions from our audience. Sir, few suggestions to keep heart healthy in this season, especially for 40 years old person. Food part 2.
So very easy. All right. Keeping the heart healthy is the same as keeping the rest of your body healthy. The heart is just part of the body. So what are the things you need? First of all, you need a healthy lifestyle. And the 3 cornerstones, one is your diet, one is your activity or exercise, and one is your mental state or stress. So you have to manage all those 3 so that you can be on an even keel. Diet-wise, you have to eat such that all the metabolic parameters of your body are good. Sugar, cholesterol, electrolytes. How do you manage it? The rule of the thumb, and I tell my patients this too, is that we have the makeup, the physiology of a caveman. I'm going to move a little bit, Atul. The sun is coming into my face.
Sure. I can see that. Yeah.
Bear with me.
Coming to your eyes.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm going to move.
No problem.
Okay. So what I say is that, our bodies, our society has evolved very fast. Our bodies have not kept up with it. So we are still the hunter-gatherers. So our physiology is that of a hunter-gatherer, although we are in the 21st century. So do your diet as you would as a hunter-gatherer would have been doing. What were they eating? They were eating fresh stuff. They could get off the trees, get off the ground.
Directly off the plant.
Or they would hunt, right? Out of that, hunting was off and on. It would take a long ordeal. It would take a long time. Most of the time, you were not successful. They didn't have guns. So it would be maybe once a week, twice a week, you would be able to have meat. Otherwise, you would have vegetarian diet. You would get fruits, fresh. You would get vegetables. Whatever grains you could find, you would have that. And the hunter-gatherer was actually not a cultivator. They were not in one place. They would go from place to place.
He was a
so
nomad.
The grain and rice was less. You would find some wild grains, but it's not that you're having rice so much every day. That came later on.
Fruits and vegetables was more.
So raw fruits, raw vegetables, as raw as you can eat. I mean, it's difficult for our modern stomachs to eat everything raw.
But if I may interrupt for a second,
yes.
If you remember, we used to read these stories about Rishi Munis, etc. And it used to, they used to write, Kand mool khake rehte the.
Bilkul.
Exactly what you are saying. Fruits and vegetables. Wonderful. Yeah, go on, please.
And if you remember, the Rishi Munis used to live the longest.
Yes.
And they used to be the wisest.
Yes.
And even in their oldest ages, they were sharp.
Yes, they were fit.
Yes. So eat the rawest you can, fresh and raw. Cook it as little as you need to. Have that food. If you have to have meat, have it less, not much.
Once or twice.
And from the heart healthy standpoint,
whenever you can hunt yourself, that is where.
Yes. The problem is the fridge. You open the fridge and you get everything.
Yeah, you can hunt every day.
Yeah, that is the problem. So in terms of the meat and food, if it's a meat or animal product, try to avoid red meat or anything with animal fat. Animal fat is the worst thing for your heart. So fish is better. And I'm saying this not only because I'm a Bengali, but fish is actually good for you. There are omega-3 fatty acids in fish oils, which can help you.
Healthy for the heart.
Healthy for the heart, which is why the Mediterranean diet is very good. Olive oil is very good for you if you have to cook. Avocado oil is good for you if you have to cook. And white meat, if you have to have meat, white meat, poultry.
Chicken.
And if you can have the chicken breast, turkey breast, those are good. Everything else in terms of animal product is bad for you. I'm not saying that you have to give it up, but keep in mind, the less you do, the better. The more you do, the worse. In terms of salt, no animal except men, I mean humans, I shouldn't say men because, men and women, but except humans, consume salt. It's an added taste. A child is not born with the taste of salt. We can do without salt. So the addition of salt is not good for the vascular system. It stiffens the vessels, later on leads to hypertension, fluid retention, etc.
And do we need a bit of salt for the bodily functions?
You do, but that is present in the food we have.
Okay.
Every food has some amount of sodium.
Okay.
So
all fruits, all vegetables would have some amount of sodium.
Everything you have has some sodium. Now, there are some people who will need additional salt, only a few handful because of some conditions. And again, I'm not saying that you have to stop eating all salt.
But do it in moderation.
Cut it back as much as you can. Make a conscious effort to cut back. Right? So that's the electrolytes. Now, spices are good. Spices, and we Indians are lucky. Most of the spices are good for you. In fact, there's a lot of research on turmeric, haldi, right? So for,
turmeric latte.
Dhania also, right? And a lot of other things also. The garam masala we use, cinnamon, there's a lot of values. So those are good things. So diet is very simple if you look at it. It's complex, but it's also very simple. If you follow the things I tell you, that's basically all you need. Oh, the other thing, you got to drink plenty of water. Most of in modern day life do not drink water. And I tell my patients that coffee, tea, Coke, Pepsi do not count as water. Because caffeine will make you pass more water out than you're drinking.
So it will dehydrate you.
Caffeine has its own value, but you need to drink enough water per day.
Yeah, caffeine would actually dehydrate you.
It will dehydrate if you're not taking water separately. Yes. So, you can go on for days about diet, but that is what I would say about diet. Exercise, again, I'm just trying to make it simple for your audience. Exercise is very important, and it becomes more important the older we grow. Because at a young age, our bodies can keep going without exercise. It can keep its energy, its muscle bulk. Beyond 40, the muscles will waste unless you consciously do some exercise. And studies have shown again and again that cardiovascular health is intricately linked to exercise. And we used to say to cardiovascular exercise only, like running, jogging, but now it has shown that muscle strengthening exercise, or what we call resistance training, is equally important. The funny part and the most surprising part is that recent research has shown that resistance training is as important also for your brain function. not only cardiovascular, which increases the blood flow to your brain, but resistance training will actually also maintain your brain function and prevent dementia. How much do you exercise? I mean, we can again go into details, but the rule of the thumb, you should aim to be walking briskly or jogging slowly for at least 30 minutes, 5 to 7 days a week. Now, don't start off today and try to do it, because then what will happen is you'll injure yourself and don't do anything for the next 2 months. So you build up to it. You start with 5 or 10 minutes a day. And again, what I tell my patients is consistency is more important than how fast you go or how much you go. Aim for 5 days, if possible, 7 days a week. Along with that, some easy resistance training. You can buy some bands. You can get some small dumbbells and train your muscles. Now, what is most important to be able to carry on doing it is that you have to stretch your muscles, which is what the Yogi Munis did by yoga. Very important. And yoga is, of course, the best thing for your mind also. The best for the mind. And then the third part is the mental stress and strain. So you have to have calmness in you, whatever you can do. Read things which are good for you. Have discussions. The older I get, the more I see the value of satsang. Talking to like-minded people, good-meaning people.
What we are having just now is satsang only. This is what I call satsang.
It is.
Yes.
If you can have meditation, practice some meditation.
All the more better, yeah.
Yeah.
Yoga. And then satsang. Satsang after meditation, satsang before meditation. Yes. And it's all food for the mind and the soul. Count your blessings and know that you cannot control the entire world, but you can control your own reactions. Laugh often.
Yes, sir.
Laugh every day.
So I don't know if that answers the question.
Others. Yes, it answers the question in such a beautiful way. Now there are a couple of more questions, Him.
Sure.
Sir, what is the success mantras for keeping heart young, functional and healthy? So this has been answered extensively by you.
Thank you.
The last answer was the one. Now there's one more question. Doctor, your top 2 expectations from pharma sales representatives or managers to favor him in terms of prescriptions. Now in America, do you have that system where these reps will come? Okay.
We do.
So that question then.
And I can answer that very well, because I am also on the board of some pharmaceutical companies. When they come out with new, I did not put that in my CV. When they come out with new medications, absolutely brand new, being introduced to the whole country, they call some doctors from all over the country, some selected doctors, and I'm one of the few who go from my state. And we listen to it and how it was developed, and they present it. And if I like the presentation and if I think that is something I can support, I tell them I can support. And I will, on their behalf, will go to different institutions and explain the things and why it is good and what it is. So be their ambassador for it. So I guess this is a question coming from a pharmaceutical rep, because they want to know.
Yes.
So first of all, you have to be representing a product which you feel is viable, which you think is beneficial, which you think is really good.
Worthy of representation.
Absolutely. When the pharmaceutical company comes to me and say, Dr. Dasgupta, we would like you to attend this meeting and speak on our behalf, I ask them first to give me all the data on that medication, all the trials they've done, all the data they've gone through, how many people have had it, and I study it extensively. Unless I can really buy into that, unless I really believe into that, I tell them that, I'm sure your product is good, but as I see it, I do not think it is best for my patients, so I will not be able to support it. So first of all, you have to believe in the product which you're selling. And that confidence has to show through in your presentation and your demeanor.
And in the data that you've got.
Exactly, the data which you're presenting. In your presentation, it has to show. A good doctor will always believe in good data because he ultimately cares for his patients and what is going to be done best for his patients.
And his own credibility is on the line.
Yes, Yes, yes. So if your product is good and you have the data and you have learned the data well, so you're presenting it well, you don't need any further convincing.
You'll get
the doctor will definitely go. You know, when you're a doctor and you come to this stage, you don't care for presents. You don't care for, free food.
Money, food.
Yeah, money, food, etc. It's
care
good
for
to
your
have a
patient.
cup of coffee together if you want to. But I really want to know the data. Give me the data. Show me the data. Give me more studies. Give me a phone number I can call if I have questions. And one more thing, we also try to help people. That's one of the things I try here, which is why I have outreaches I go to. So I always ask for free samples for my patients. So we have a place where the company will provide samples. Yes. And we make a list of the patients. The patients, when they come to me and they really cannot afford it, they will give me their name, and I have a dedicated
You will do a trial by yourself, that means.
Yes.
It's
so I make a list of all the patients who needs it, and they're called at home and say, we have the samples, you come and take it.
Wonderful. Excellent. So while answering the question before the last one, you said something about exercise.
Yes.
And today you were going for some exercise, some game that you've started. Could you tell us about the game?
Absolutely. And you can find it on YouTube.
Okay.
This was introduced by my younger son, who used to play with kids.
Iron?
Iron. Yes, Iron.
Wow.
So he introduced it to me. But this is not as old as game as cricket or the actual golf, but it follows the same rules as golf. Do you golf, Atul?
Golfer. I'm not a golfer. No.
You're not a golfer. Okay. But you know about it, right?
Yeah, I know about it.
Yeah.
It was right in front of our school.
Right, exactly. Beldy Golf Club. Exactly.
Beldy Golf. Yeah.
So this follows the same rules, except that you don't have a golf stick, you don't have a golf ball. If you know what is frisbee, the disc people throw, right? So this is basically frisbee golf, but it's more improved in that sense that just like golf has different sticks, golf clubs. You have the driver.
I know the iron driver.
Irons,
I know all that.
Right? So they have different discs. They have the long drivers, they have the fairway drivers, they have the mid distance, and they have the putters, different discs. And you throw them, and there are different styles of throwing it. And they have courses, actually. They have courses.
Beautiful.
With
there'll be holes the same way as golf.
9 holes and 18 holes.
Wow.
So except for a hole, they have a basket. They have a basket with chains hanging where we have to finally throw it, and the frisbee goes and falls there.
Wow.
So you can go out with friends. You can go out with friends and do it. And the best part is that so far, unlike golf, which is very expensive to get the tee time and the green time and everything else, these are free. These are free. You can go anywhere, as many friends as you want. All you need is 3 or 4 discs, which you can buy online.
So you can say frisbee.
Frisbee, that's right. That's right.
Okay, great. Sounds very interesting. And you are out in the greens and you're spending time with friends, laughing, playing, and it's exercise for the whole body. You're walking, you're throwing, you're picking up, you're bending down. Yeah,
exactly. You can make a game yourself.
Yes.
6 or 7 friends. You can just take a basket, go to any open space. Gandhi Ghat ke paas. Yeah, you can go near the zoo, open space. Put a basket in the distance.
Yes.
And from one place, you start throw that within 3 throws you have to get there. Yeah.
Go on the circuit.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, great. So that's wonderful. Now, Himadri, we've been, waxing eloquent about our school and what it taught us. Now, both your kids, Ishan and Ayan, I think they studied in the US.
They did. Ishan was in Delhi till age of 6 years.
Okay.
So he was going to St. Columbus there.
Yeah, but otherwise, for all intents and purposes, he studied in the US only.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, because 6 is a very young age. So tell me, Himadri, how have you tried to inculcate some of the things that we learned and which you felt were essential for your kids? Because I'm sure schooling there would have been different,
Yes.
and it may have added other things, but not exactly the way our school did. So what have you
Right.
done about it? Were you
So
worried about it, and what did you do?
Yeah, every parent coming here is worried about it because it's a perpetual battle between fitting in with the
Cultures.
culture there, which is very
Yeah.
important for them to
Yes.
succeed, and at the same time maintaining contact with our roots and our values.
Hmm.
And it's a battle, not only when they're growing up, but it's a constant battle. It is a battle for us also to remember our values, and I think we have. But I think the basis is that education, I believe, starts at home, and not only starts at home,
Yes.
the
Beautiful.
majority of it has to be done at home.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's why I asked you the question.
So I think if you maintain an atmosphere at home where you're maintaining those values, in my home, we speak in Bengali, my wife and I.
Very nice.
Right. So although my children would prefer to speak in English outside, they understand Bengali, they speak Bengali.
Very nice.
Values which we have grown up with, the do's and don'ts, respecting elders, even doing pranam when they meet their elders. Every time we meet someone here, we taught them how to do it.
Yeah.
Every time they went to India,
Touch their
and we
feet,
tried to
yeah.
make trips as frequent as possible.
Yes.
They did it. Were they reluctant initially? Yes, of course. Did they ask the question, why do we have to do it? Yes, of course. But you have to be patient. You have to have the answers. You have to explain to them why it is important. And I think that is important.
That why is very important.
And why is very important.
Why is the most important thing in life?
Children are willing to learn.
Why and why not?
Exactly. You have to get down to their level and explain to them why it should be done. Yes. And I think my wife does a better job than I do.
Yeah.
But she did a wonderful job.
She did a wonderful job. And see, Arundhati is also a doctor.
She is.
She is, yeah. She's a doctor, and she chose not to practice, and she chose to
after coming here.
Yeah.
And that was one of the main reasons, because they spend a lot of time in school.
Yes.
She did not want the rest of the day spent in a daycare where there would be no contact with our values,
very good
families, and welfare.
So. Very courageous as well.
So I'm really thankful and grateful she did it. I think that is what helped.
That's what has paid dividends.
It has. It has.
Now, there's one more thing that I always knew about it. Your love for music. So what kind of music, and which are the singers you love the most?
So I like to say that I like to say I like all kinds of music, and I try to. Now there are some which I don't understand, and I have not been able to adapt yet. I'm still trying to, like the rap music of today. I like the rhythm, but because of a lack of tune, I'm not very famous.
Yeah, even I like the rhythm.
Yeah,
the way it goes.
Yeah. But what do I like? Well, I like Hindi and Bengali songs. I grew up on Hindi songs and Bengali songs, Binaka Gitmala, and of course Ravindra Sangeet.
All of us, yes.
So Amin Sahni's voice is still something I love.
Nostalgic, yes.
My favorite singer was, of course, Kishore Kumar growing up. But as I grow older, Manna De, Rafi, Mukesh.
Yeah. I wanted to give you a choice between Himanta Da and Kishore
Da. Depends on the song.
Okay.
I love both.
You love both. I love both.
Yeah, but Kishore probably was my first love.
First love. Chalo, ek gana ho jaye. One of Kishore. The audience also has requested. Yeah, audience has requested.
चलो पूरा गाना तो नहीं, एक लाइन हो जाए.
मुखड़ा.
हाँ,
मुखड़ा.
चलती रहे जिंदगी तुम भी चलो हम भी चले चलती रहे ये जिंदगी न जमी मंजिल न आसमां जिंदगी है जिंदगी तुम भी चलो हम भी चले चलती रहे जिंदगी.
One stanza also, पीछे देखे ना. I know you remember the song.
पीछे देखे ना कहीं मुड़ के राहों में ओ हो झूमे मेरा दिल तुम्हें लेके बाहों में धड़कनों की जुबान नित कहे दासता प्यार की इन छाओं
प्यार
में
की झिलमिल छाओं में पलती रहे जिंदगी तुम भी चलो हम भी चले
चलती
रहे
जिंदगी.
Beautiful hymn.
Sorry boss, my voice is a little cracked today, but
No, you sang so well. Sang from the heart. A cardiologist singing from the heart. Now that's what
I thought this song would be appropriate. कि हम चलते रहे.
Absolutely. I sing this song for my students also.
Good.
It's a beautiful song. Absolutely great.
Thank you.
So him, it's been, we started 7-8 minutes late.
Yes, sir.
We are way beyond time.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Time flew. I didn't even know.
Time just flew. And we could go on for another hour or two. Time just flew. So him, it's been चलने का नाम ही जिंदगी है. जी बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने मोहिंदर जी. चलने का नाम ही जिंदगी है. चलते रहना ही सार है, रुक जाना तो बेकार है. So चलते 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 जाओ. So him, I think we've covered a lot of ground. Now I'm not doing the rapid fire with you today, but I'm going to ask you now for your message for my students and for the youth who are ready to step out into the, I don't call it the big bad world, into the limelight, into the
tough
spotlight,
world, the challenging world,
the tough world, challenging world. And things you can have a slightly more elaborate message for them, which would help them lead their life better.
So the first thing I would like to say is that no matter where you're in life, no matter what condition you are in, no matter what you're facing, you have to be true to yourself. Beautiful. It starts there. If you're not true to yourself, you cannot be true to anyone else. You cannot do anything. You have to be totally true to yourself, what you want, and try to do it and gain confidence. So be true to yourself and gain self-confidence. You can only help the world once you are fit to do it. Secondly, never stop learning. You didn't ask me that question, but if you had asked me what was my only regret, I have no regrets from life except for those times when I felt I did not give my best. I could have done a little bit more.
Beautiful.
Do not have that regret. At the end of the life, always. When you look back, you should not have the regret that you did not do your best at every moment. If you can be true to yourself, if you can keep learning, and if you can always give the maximum you can, I think the world is for taking.
And I think your message is so important because these are the days of lifelong learning. A lot of things that these guys would be working on have not yet been invented. So imagine how much more learning they would have to continue to do for a career that spans 30, 40 years.
Right.
Things are changing so fast. So learning, unlearning, relearning, I think that's going to be the mantra that's going to keep people relevant, that's going to keep people current. And this is a skill they
Exactly.
need to learn.
Exactly. One other quick word I would like to add, if
Yes,
I may,
sure, him.
quickly, is that,
Please.
all of us have some handicaps. All of us have some disadvantages. See how you can make that handicap into an advantage.
Into a strength.
Strength. And let me give you an example. Okay. I'm not boasting, but I'll just give you an example. One of my handicaps is that I feel my memory is not very good. Details about a patient. Some people can remember 50 patients, all details. I cannot. So early on, I learned to try to be very meticulous in my documentation. So if I read back, I'll remember every part of the story and every detail about the patient, what medications they were allergic to, what they like, what they don't like, what has been done in the past. What it helped me.
Down everything.
Everything. And then when I dictate the note, it's a very elaborate note. What it helped me is become very thorough in all my notes. And people appreciate that. In fact, one of my greatest rewards in life was recently I was treating an 89-year-old gentleman, retired. I've never seen him before. He was in the hospital. So I go in there and he sees, I introduce myself. There you always introduce yourself. Firstly, when you walk in, you say, I'm Dr. Dasgupta, so-and-so. He heard my name and he said, Dr. Himadri Dasgupta? I said, yes, how do you know my name?
Been treated by you before.
Yeah, no, he said that.
Wow.
You know what I used to do? I've retired 10 years ago, but I used to be a judge. And he used to judge all the cases which came to him for disability or things like that by the government.
Oh.
And he said, I remember your notes. They were the most complete notes in which I never had to go back and do my own research. Just your note was enough for me to pass judgment.
Wow.
That was one of the greatest rewards I've ever had.
Yeah. What other endorsement, do you need? Wow.
89-year-old retired judge, remembering from 10 years ago, my name. But that happened because I had a handicap. I felt that I could not remember.
It's not
I
a
had
handicap.
To be thorough in my work.
It's a great habit. Jotting down is a great habit.
Yes.
Not being able to remember too much may be a handicap. But then the solution that you created for that handicap, that's the winning habit.
And that is
for
just
every handicap, we can come up with a winning habit.
Exactly.
For every handicap, we can come up with a solution which would make us, do so much better in the area where we feel we are weak. Wow.
Exactly. And let it motivate. Let it not pull you back. Let it motivate you.
Wonderful. Excellent. So I think it's been one of the most enriching and rewarding, 1.5 hours that I've spent with anybody on the internet or off the internet even. And I would like to say that all our guests so far on the show, including you, have been absolutely top-notch in helping our viewers with their areas of expertise, with their wisdom, with their experiences in life. And, I believe when we conceive the show and as it goes on, I believe that this sharing of experiences by people, like you and all our other guests, now this is your way of connecting to society. This is your way of giving back to society, and for which I actually need to thank you, from the bottom of my heart, and profuse, uh, gratitude for taking time out. And today you had that game, and then you cut short the game, and you came and you were here on the show with us. So it's been wonderful having you on the show, and I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. And
Atul, I would like to thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to thank you for doing this. What you've been doing, this is Wonderful. I mean, this is so good for all of us to be able to connect to the society. And as you said, at this stage in our life, we would all like to give back to the society any way we can. That you've created this platform where we can do so. A lot of thanks to you.
Thank you, Him. It's such a pleasure. And this is not the end of it, because I'll be calling you again and again to speak to my students and for the
Sure.
audience. And let me also announce this. I'm creating a small hall of fame. So all our guests would be there in that hall of fame. And your talks, your interviews would be there in the hall of fame. Your details would be there. And you would be able to connect with the other guests as well. So you would all be connected. So I'll be creating this hall of fame maybe tomorrow. And so welcome to the hall of fame as well. So Him, thank you very much once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
And please convey my warm regards to Arun, and my love and best wishes to both the kids, Ishan and Ayan. And next time you're in India, let's hope we are able to meet. So it was great, and you have a wonderful day today. And our viewers, our audience, the show is for you. Him is here for you. I'm here for you. And we're always going to be there for you. So I hope you enjoyed this edition of That's Life. And next week, another guest, another edition. That's Life. Thank you very much. Good night. And Him, you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.